This is Live for Love TV. Live for Love TV. Yes, I am.
One step more. One step more. One step more. Until you reach your goals. One step more. Save them soul. One step more. One step more. How good it is to reach the
Live for Love TV. This is Live for Love TV. Live for Love TV.
Well, back here with Live for Love TV, 4th day of the 8th month of the 21st year of the 21st century. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that was very controversial a year ago and changed, maybe a year and more, in Jamaica here, where I don't know how controversial it was in Jamaica, but it was definitely controversial in the UK, and it came up in Jamaica. Well, it was when David Rodigan was given the Order of Distinction, musical Order of Distinction by the Jamaican government. There were people with big names in the UK who thought he didn't deserve to get that, and that the Jamaican government was foolish or foolhardy to have given it to him. I think that's disrespectful in itself, because the people give what they want to who they want, and it's their right. You can't stay 5,000 miles away and say who the Jamaican government should give their awards to. But people did it, so I'm going to have to look at it, because now that the dust has settled and people are maybe not as emotional as they were, even though some obviously still will be, and you can like or dislike this video as you please. These are going to be totally my own views, and I'm not going to be influenced by anyone or what I think about this thing. Now, David Rodigan is a radio DJ from the UK. I think he started in the 70s and he became popular in the 80s. He is a white man, a European, playing reggae music, which all the people who probably know his name will definitely know that that's who he is. When I was listening to the reason why people thought he didn't deserve to get an Order of Distinction musically, it sounded to me like it was based on his color. And I don't know, people choose a color that they're born. So I don't know if, how people can use that as an argument. But for those people who claim they weren't using that as an argument and say that they were actually using the fact that he really didn't deserve it because he hadn't done the work. Well, let's take a look at that. I'm going to take a look at that. Now, I'm going to put my cards on the table immediately. I have never, all the times I spent in the UK, ever left my house to go and listen to David Rodigan individually. And I never would, because he's not that kind of selector that I would listen to in reggae. So he's not somebody that I'm biased towards. Now, if he's on a bill and there are other people there, such as Saxon, Trevor Sachs, some of the people who I used to like listening to, like Trevor and them man there, no problem, I'll listen to him. But I've never gone out my way to listen to David Rodigan. He's a radio DJ. And as a radio DJ, he's not a selector for me. So I've never done that. So I'm going to take the points from my perspective, what I can see, and see if the Jamaican government really was wrong or right. Did he really promote reggae music outside of Jamaica, to a good perspective? Now, none of us knew that in the 70s, after Steve Barnard came off the radio, there was Tony Williams and David Rodigan, one black, one white. Tony Williams was actually born in Jamaica. He's since passed away, as far as I can remember. And these were the two people you could listen to on mainstream radio. This is pre-pirate radio, as they call it. So these were the two mainstream people you heard on radio. We used to go dancers and listen to the sounds, but you could hear these guys on the radio. Now, you'd be hard pushed to say that, people were in both camps, but Rodigan, the kind of music he was playing, he probably was the more popular of the two, but he certainly was to me on the radio. And as time went on, he became even more popular when he actually met up with Barry G, who was a radio DJ from Jamaica and a radio announcer and a dancehall announcer. And they had these little back and forth clashes between Jamaica and England. They put their own dub plates together and sound system clash. Now that was massive. That was absolutely massive. They're so massive, you can go on YouTube and see them now. And even in that, when David Rodigan was trying to hold his own against, a Jamaican radio personality, a big one like that at the time, Mr. Barry Gordon, he did his best he could. I thought he probably lost every clash he went into, but he did well. But what was good about Rodigan at the time was some of the dubs that he played were actually from UK artists, sound systems, especially from Saxon Sound System. He was playing, dubs from, if I can remember, either Tipper or Levi, definitely from Maxi Priest, maybe Smiley Culture. He was playing those records alongside the Jamaican reggae that he used to clash, and that's good. He's promoting both reggae and UK reggae at the same time. So to me, for that, from what I can remember, he gets 1 point there. Without no doubt, he gets 1 point. But he doesn't stop there. He goes on later on as the years go on and starts to clash sound systems in Jamaica as a UK representative. He started clashing sounds. Now, I don't know any sound in the UK outside of Saxon who really took the honest trip to go to Jamaica and play in dance halls. Saxon did do it. So Saxon have got something to say maybe about whether Rodigan deserves it or not. But the funny thing is, it's not Saxon that's actually saying he didn't deserve it. I haven't heard anyone from the Saxon sound system say that Rodigan doesn't deserve any sort of, respect from the Jamaican government. It's other sound systems who claim to be champion sounds and number one sounds, and sounds who I never heard any tape of them clashing with any sound from Jamaica in Jamaica. I've never heard any. They may be out there, and I'd like someone to refresh me and maybe even send them to me, but I haven't heard them. So all these big sounds that sat in the UK and waited for the Jamaican sounds to come over and then play with them. Remember, when Jamaican sounds come to the UK, they have to use sounds from the UK. That's how it is. If you go into a man's area, you use a local sound and you bring your sound. That's how it always was. But we were not seeing the sounds that we were listening to on a weekly basis. And we were listening to a lot of sounds weekly. You can hear them right out in it. Yeah, we were listening to a lot of sounds weekly then, and all those sounds we were listening to, they didn't go to Jamaica and take on the Jamaican like David Rodigan did. He went to America and took them on. Later on, the sound systems from the UK did go out and did start testing, especially in America. They started testing other American and Jamaican sounds. But Rodigan was there from the very beginning, clashing, and he did his best. He did well. He put his dubs, put his specials. He won some, lost some. He probably lost more than he won, but he brought his little character to it and whatever. And that is representing the music to its maximum. You're taking on, I remember, you're a single person. You're not a sound system with 15, 20 man. You're a single person in a different racial background than you come from. And you're trying your best to take these people on. And another good thing that I think I have to give him points for is when he was in clashing with some of these big sounds from Jamaica, big sounds from America, with the biggest of clashes and the biggest and the heat of the battle, even no matter what name he was called, he never cursed anyone, never disrespected anybody's mother. In the middle of it, when everybody was calling everybody else's mother and probably his mother, I don't know, everybody's mother was being called out in the dance hall by regular sound systems. He never did that. I've never heard on any tape or seen on any video him use his mouth to try and bring someone down. He always used the music to try and defeat them. And that's where I grew up. And I always believed that a lot of these sound systems that went down that road were the reason to why the dance hall started to disappear and why the females started coming out of the dance and they started to become a man event more than ever before. The rubber dub was over. The arms house was there, and that's how the sound system started to die. Now, I'm a lover of sound systems. And then if a sound string up and they're clean and they play good and they're not there to disrespect the people or the other sounds that are playing, I'm there and I'm going to be there till as they say, till the cock crows, because we love this thing. We come from this thing. We're born into it. I'm going to do a video about some of the sounds we grew up in the UK, the history of some of them that I know of. And it's not going to be what people have told me. What I know, the sounds I've actually stood by and listened to, the selectors I've listened to, not the people telling you that they used to go on Club Nurrick, and they used to go here and they used to go there. I'm not going to, in that video that I'm going to bring up, I'm not going to bring up any place I haven't been to. So again, back to David Rodigan. To me, David Rodigan has done what the Jamaican government gave him the award for. He's promoted reggae outside of Jamaica. Now, of course, other sound systems did the same thing. That's exactly what everyone's doing. We all love the music. We play our music. But there's a difference with David Rodigan, because as I say, David Rodigan went back into the heart of Jamaican music. Not only was he cutting the dubs and playing the dubs, but he was actually playing against the sound systems that really counted. They really counted. you know, and you're going to hear his name, whether you think people were doing it for bias reasons or not, on more reggae records than any other sound system owner in the UK. And then these radio announcers, you've got radio announcers, you've got media people, you've got people, you know, and there's nothing, as far as I can see, there's nothing that they're basing their dislike for David Rodigan on other than his race. It can't be his work, because he's done the work. As I said, I don't go out and listen to him, but he's done the work. If you listen to him over the years, he tells you the studio. Often he tells you who played on the track. He tells you, you know, the artist. Now you can listen to many, and I was on a pirate radio station. You can listen to many pirate radio DJs over the years, and they may tell you out of the 400 records they play, you may get about 4 times they tell you who it is. They hardly ever tell you who it is. And it's almost like they don't want you to know, so they can, you know, sort of keep that for themselves, so you don't know the new artist that they're playing. That happens a lot. So that's not promoting the music. It's certainly not promoting the artist who wants to be heard and wants these records to be bought. So as I say, Rodigan has championed that. I don't have any issue with the Jamaican government giving him an award. One, because it's their right to give an award to anyone they want, just like the British government give awards to whoever they want. So that wouldn't be a problem to me. And two, I've actually lived through the time of David Rodigan and all the sounds that are out there in the UK. I've lived through them all, and they're great. They're selectors, they're sound systems. I respect them. They're the people I listen to. They're the people I grew up on. And if tomorrow's David Rodigan strung up one LAN and some of the other sounds strung up the other LAN, I'm going to be with the other sounds. That's what I listen to. That's how I grew up, and that's what I listen to. That's the music. They play the way I want, the music I want to hear. But that doesn't mean that Jamaica is going to promote them over David Rodigan. David Rodigan has done his work. No one can deny that. He's interviewed some of the top Jamaican acts and artists on the radio from day one, from the minute he came in. You can go back and you can see the work he's done. And he interviews well. I mean, he's a radio DJ, so fair enough, he can do that, but he interviews well. You know, he gets to the meat and to the heart of what these artists were about, where they came from and how they came up. And the good thing is, history is there to prove it. You can hear it. There's not too many of these sound systems owners have actually, they can say they played this dub and they played this person, but they did it for their ego just like anybody else did. When sound systems play, they play for their own ego the same way Rodigan does. They can't pretend they're doing it for any righteous reason. They're playing for their own ego. When they say there's one in the island and one man can play this, and that's your own ego. That's what it is. So if Rodigan's doing it and you're doing it, no problem. Everyone can do that. But to say that he doesn't deserve any acclaim from the Jamaican government, like I keep going on about, to me, every time and every angle I look at it from, I can go on and on and on about it, but I can see that the man has done the work. He's respected by many Jamaican artists, especially by Jamaican producers, the Jammies, the Scorpios, all of them. You never heard any of them come out and say he doesn't deserve it. Not one. I didn't hear any of them. I heard one loudmouth selector who doesn't rate anybody and cusses everybody's mother anyway, so you can't take him seriously. But I didn't hear any of the big producers in Jamaica, none of them, Augustus Clark, none of them come out and say, this man does not deserve any award from the Jamaican government. So when you hear these some of the DJs and some of the Jamaican producers that are now living in the UK coming out that, it's based totally on race from my perspective. That's my opinion. You can come back and say it's not, and then you give your point of view and you show me what work everybody's done and how they've done any work that's different to anybody else. When you go to Birmingham, when you go to Coventry, when you go to all over the UK, all the sounds have done their work. They're all great, and they've all brought the music to the corner that they came from or where they come from. And that's the way it was meant to be. You're playing music. That's how it has to be. But to say that anybody doesn't deserve something and somebody else, I'd rather you say no one deserves anything. None of us have done any good work, but nobody's saying that. What they're really saying is he doesn't deserve it. And what it is, as we know, it's always based on something other than the music itself. So I'm going to do something, as I said later on, about sound systems themselves and how I feel about them and what sounds I think upheld the thing from day one and which sounds were the bully boy sounds and forced and pushed their way to where they became, and which were the sounds that I think probably did more damage in the end to the music and to the dancehall than actually kept it going. Yeah, so there's lots of things to talk about when it comes to music, especially reggae music, because as you can hear, it's my passion. It's something I not only grew up with in my house, on our corner. There was a time when we were 6-7 days a week ravers, you know, and that sounds crazy now, but that's what we did. Monday night we had somewhere, Tuesday night, every night we would find somewhere where the reggae was playing and we were there. So we heard so many of these sounds, so many of these big names and so many of these selectors and so many of the DJs. We saw the transformation from when the singer was the main man to when the DJ, they only played the singer's record for a few seconds so they could get over and DJ. We see that transformation. And we know that was really the downhill trajectory of the music. And we're going to talk about that as well. But take care, look after yourself, be back at you very soon. Live for Love TV.